I'm going to bring you on in a few moments. Okay. Mic test, mic test, mic test, mic test. All right, test your mic, Sheik.
Uh, Cash in, cash out. Brody took the street route, speeding through the fast lane, trying not to crash out. Poverty was passed down, couldn't afford a different route. No one meet him in the streets, he won't hit the church house. Luxury the heart of me, but these streets still a part of me. I gave God all of me, no saying sick and tired of me. I came up about them bricks, I know my brother's proud of me. Demons had me on the fence, I know my mama proud of me. Know my mama pray for my girl, she made for me. Know these rappers make believe, they make it up like Maybelline. Remember days thought I was done, I said it won't no saving me. Now I'm feeling like the one that's really made it say the streets. Spaz made it spaz out, cash in, cash out. Money coming fast now, topping off his pastels. Blues and paints won't save a thing, but it make life a little easy. Put your faith up in that money, you ought to try a little Jesus. Waist deep was in that water, learn to swim, you gon' sink. Pack was made to order back to back, bro, next week. I got angels on both sides, safe to say no crossing me. Body buried in that water, I came up a brand new me. Yeah. Streaming is the volume 1, man.
The art of war. He who knows himself but does not know his enemy
Gang.
will lose every battle he goes into. If he does not know himself but he knows his enemy, he will lose half the battles. If he knows himself and he knows his enemy, he will win every battle he enters. The Art of War by Sun Tzu.
And good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Ish, where credible content lives here. You know, we are so thankful and honored to be able to come to you and to share our time with you and that you share your time with us. And we are just also excited to have someone who is an amazing person on tonight. You know, this is the place where credible content lives. And in other words, you know, we don't have people on this on our episodes who are shoddy. We make sure that they are well researched and that they are credible and that they are men of integrity. And this is a podcast for men around the age 50 or above. You know, and if you find some content that does not necessarily agree with you, or let's say you're not in the areas of 50 or above, or you may be a female, there's still things in here that are for you, but not necessarily detailed for you. Now, today's we're going to make sure that we get our disclaimer out of the way. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policies or positions of any organization, church, or affiliate. All content provided is for informational and educational purpose only, and do not take and should not be taken as professional and should not be taken as professional, financial, legal, or medical advice. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research and seek qualified guidance where necessary. While every effort is made to provide accurate information, this podcast makes no representation, guarantees, or warranties about the completeness, reliability, or accuracy of the information shared. By listening to this podcast, you agree that the host and producer are not liable for any actions taken based on the content on this show. All right. And with that being said, I want to introduce you to someone who I have found to be a friend for a number of years. He has been someone who I have found to be very credible, and I'm honored to speak with Sheik Kuyate. He's a Navy veteran, an entrepreneur, financial educator, and kingdom man whose West Coast heritage and faith continues to shape his mission. After 17 years with distinction, including deployment in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom, Sheik has dedicated his life to empowering everyday families with financial tools once reserved just for the affluent. A devoted husband and proud girl dad of six, he mentors aspiring entrepreneurs to shift from employee to entrepreneur. Welcome, Sheik Kuyate. Thank you for joining us.
Good to see you again.
Thank you so much. Great seeing you, my friend. Hey, man. Just I hate to start off on a sour note, but wow, Michael Parson. That hurts, man. It's been my Spartans were beaten bad last. Well, they were beaten last night. Receivers couldn't catch the ball. Then Michael Parson is
Oh man.
gone. So it's good to have this Friday end on a good note. In Swahili, when you ask someone in Africa how they're doing, in Swahili they would say, "Mimi ni mgonjwa kidogo tu," meaning yesterday I was not doing too well, but today I'm much better. And so, with that being said, my friend, give us some good news. Tell us about yourself. Introduce
Oh,
yourself.
man. Good news. Well, hey, again, thanks for the great introduction, Howard. You said enough about me, but um, good news. Hey, we just opened up our How Money Works Education Learning Center here in San
Wow.
Diego,
Yeah.
and it's been a blast so far. So we're gonna
Yes.
start doing courses. Tomorrow we're doing an event called Money and Mental Health, and
Wow.
yeah, we're having a clinical. I don't want to mess the titles up, but basically, she's a doctor in special health, in mental health, and she does
Wow.
counseling. So she's going to
Yeah.
speak there. We're going to talk about the ties between money and mental health, and how we can get people out of the rat race. Also,
Yeah. I won't ask you to say this today, but maybe I will. Maybe before the end of the boat, I want you to tell the story about burning the boat. I called it your initial sermon, man, because you were not really someone who liked to be out in front of people.
yeah.
And when you told the story about burning the boat, which was such a remarkable story, you shared the story of just people who are stuck where they are, and because they have options, they kind of stay where they are. And what we're going to learn tonight is tools to have in our tool belt that's going to help us get from the doldrums. That's when you're out in the water and there ain't no wind blowing, and you're stuck without a roar, without an oar. We're going to learn some things tonight. It's going to really help us navigate through life. And so we're going to burn the boats. In other words, if we're going to get back to shore, we're going to go back on their boats. All right. So talk
Mhm.
to us, man.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely,
All right.
man.
Mhm.
Yeah, but no, hey, I'm glad you're using your gifts, and that God's got you in a good position, and I'm grateful for that, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what do
Thank
you
you.
want to talk about, man? What do you want
So
to talk about?
listen, now you served 8 years in active duty and 2 years in reserve, earning honors in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. How have those experiences shaped your principles of leadership, discipline, and the way you mentor families toward financial empowerment?
Hmm. Wow. Well, a little more about my background. Like you, I grew up in the DC metropolitan DMV area, and right. So yeah, I grew up in PG
Yeah.
County, and what I would say is I grew up in with two parent home,
Wow. Yeah.
and so that's very different. And my dad, he's my both my parents are from West
Yes.
Africa, and my father's from Sierra Leone, and he just didn't play
Yeah.
that. So it was like his house, his rules, period, full stop. So I kind of already got that swift kick in the butt early, and my dad had no military experience, but his house, his rules. So that kind of prepped me somewhat to know how to deal with men. Just kind of having a father like that around. What the military did was it brought me into
Yeah.
accountability. Was like, you do something and you're not supposed to. We don't care about your sob
Yeah.
story,
Yeah.
right? So um, when we would prepare for flight operations, I was in the air department. I worked on the catapults. We did launch and recovery
Mm-hmm.
on the flights of aircraft
Mm.
carriers. So my job was to make sure and it was many of us. Everybody had a specific job. The primary operation of the ship that cost $1 million a day to
Wow.
operate is to launch and recover
Mm.
aircraft. That's
Wow.
it. Everything else
Yeah.
doesn't matter. If you're not launching aircraft, that's it. So I joined the Navy in
Hmm.
2003, right after, shortly after 9/11, and got in. And we were kind of in a war when we were going into Iraq and starting to tap into Afghanistan. So when we were training, we were doing what they call war games. So flight operations, you're just going out to sea and you're just training and training and training and training. And they don't they don't really care about how you're feeling. They don't care about um, who said what to
Yeah.
you. Um, you're doing your job. So I think what got me to really realize, hey, this is different. I better get my act
Hmm.
together. Is when I would watch other sailors do something
Yeah.
stupid, like a DUI, a
Yeah.
DUI, and the Navy would just go bonkers if you had a
Yeah.
DUI, and you were going to be held accountable. And what it did for me was like, oh well, if you do what you need to do, then you'll be fine. But if you don't, you're not going to be fine. So I kind of took that. That's really what I
Yeah.
learned in the military, accountability, which forced me to be
Yeah.
disciplined, especially when you go into entrepreneurship. If you're not accountable to yourself, I don't see how you could be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. And that's something, I was,
So with
yeah,
accountability,
I was sharing with the,
let me
I'm
land my
sorry.
plane here with that. With
Hmm.
accountability, no, you're fine. With accountability, it's like a cousin of
Yeah.
discipline,
Wow.
right? You can't have one without
Yeah.
the other.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. I'm glad. Wow. Accountability is a cousin to discipline. Yeah. Yeah. And I think what I'm hearing is being accountable in the right way. One of the things I was sharing with my son, who just graduated from Howard University with his master's degree, World American, all American athlete. He's reached stages that I will never reach, of course. And he was going on a job interview, just something to hold him over until he goes back to training again. And and I looked at him and I said, you look sharp, but you can improve yourself in one or two areas. And I said, if you were as an entrepreneur, would you hire you looking like that? And he thought, but he didn't respond because I know he was going to say something like, well, yeah, I would, And then I said, well, when you were out cutting grass and someone comes with green shoes and they want to be a part of your lawn care business, you might hire them. But if you're the CEO, COO of a major financial institution and they come in with green shoes, meaning that you have grass on your shoes, would you hire that person? And he's like, I see what you're saying, Dad. And that's another part of men mentoring men. One of the things that I love about how the Lord has really developed and grown you is your level of accountability, which was always there, that I've known since I've known you, and um, and your dedication to sticking with something. I remember you talking to me when I first met you, and you said people that you've known for like 5 years are like, "Are you still doing that thing? Are you still doing that thing? That thing?" They never they because a lot of times people want to know that it's working, that it works for them.
Hmm.
When I first went into the business, I'm no longer licensed. I don't have any of my license or anything. Um, you know, People knew me as broke. 5 kids, a wife. you know. Now I'm going to talk to them about some financial strategies.
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
Negro, get out of here. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but that ain't what they
Yeah.
said. But
See
you
that too.
know,
I feel that
but then
too.
a number of years later, as I developed and stuck with you and learned some things from you and got bloody noses and brought you people that anyway, another story. I was trying to save
Right.
everybody and I had to learn that everyone doesn't want to be saved. Everyone is comfortable living payday the next day and borrowing the 9 days in between. But with that, with that being said, I'm sure it developed your faith, and because you're deeply rooted in your faith, and you often answer to people. When someone asks you a question, like let's say you say I had nothing to do with this. God is my ultimate boss. Um, how does your spiritual foundation influence your approach to financial education? How does that help you evangelize people? Because that's one of the words that you used to me. When I first met you, you were close enough to the Lord. You were close enough to the Lord. You didn't curse him out or nothing like that. You had that much respect. But I remember, you would say if you got baptized in water would boil or turn black or something like that. You know, and
I started getting blisters on my skin.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I tell you, there was something in you though. I find myself trying to gravitate toward men that have something that a key quality. And how is your faith now um influenced your financial strategies that you share with people, your evangelism style?
Well, I'll address that. Make sure I do. But I
Yeah.
want to back up for a second with what you said
Mhm.
about when you first started, and just so we're clear, the same thing happened to me, dude. And
Okay.
where family and friends like, dude, what are you talking about? You should be in the Navy. You a grease monkey. Greasing launch valves and
Yeah.
dealing with panels. That shoot birds off.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they looked at me as. And I guess what helped me kind of hang around through that was I remember a passage where it talked about Jesus saying a prophet has no honor in his own home or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Hmm.
Correct me on that. So I was like, well, hell, if Jesus can't save everybody, who am I?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
right. So you learn how to develop Teflon coated skin, and
Yeah.
but along the way you have people that will support you, and those are the
Mhm.
people that you kind of hang on to and get your fuel from. So now back to your question again. What
Yeah,
remind me?
rooted in your faith, being rooted. How does that help your evangelism style? Still wanting to save everybody, but recognize everyone doesn't want to be saved.
Yeah.
How does your faith affect your business?
Well, I put an emphasis on serving,
Yeah.
and really I had to get to a place where I didn't want to become judgmental, and I didn't want to get to a place where I'm making preconceived notions.
Hmm.
Where if I just see someone, I'm like, oh Lord, that's gonna be another one of the Howard Langford appointments. Hey, get me out of this one. And my faith helped me in the aspect of serve. Focus
Yeah.
on service. How can I
Yeah.
help you? What can I
Yeah.
do to help you in whatever capacity that is, and not make it about numbers, not make it about
Yeah.
me. And that's really kind of transformed my business. So, for
Hmm.
example, I have a small agency
Hmm.
under Wealthway we call Shield.
Mm.
Shield
Hmm.
stands for service,
Hmm.
help, inspire, equip, lead, and develop
Hmm.
disciples. Disciples of what? Disciples of the King, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then crusaders. What are crusaders on our mission? No
Yeah.
family left behind. Eradicating financial illiteracy so
Hmm.
families can dream again. And future leaders, youth,
Hmm.
giving
Yeah.
them tools that God-given abilities, helping them see their God-given abilities through service.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
would say I've kind of clung on to that, and what that has done is it's kept me humble in the
Yeah.
sense that um, I don't really care. It's like, oh, okay, I could have a client who's got, whatever ton of assets, or I got somebody who just really trying to get started, just trying to get off the runway with putting a
Yeah.
little something aside to kind of get ahead. So
Yeah.
for sure, it's service. So, well, how do I measure that? Well, I use Jesus.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
says um, he didn't come to be served; he came to serve.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Wow.
and that's servant leadership. So
Yeah.
he's the model, he's the example. There is none greater. And I've got a lot of evidence to that backs my statement up, is
Yeah.
that this is a servant leader, and he's the greatest servant leader.
Yeah.
So if I want to be Christ-like, so to speak,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, I you can't if you don't have a servant spirit, or
Yeah.
servant mentality, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see it as one of our mentors would say, leading from the front.
Mm.
I believe, if I got that right, I think Mickey would say that, something of that nature, leading. In other words, you're a leader and you're showing service. Servants really lead from the front, and you're taking a lot of the hits, and even from the front and the back.
All around. Yeah, yeah.
you know, People that you're leading are throwing stones and say, I can't believe I'm following this person.
Hmm.
And you're also getting hits from the front, because you're plowing the way. And I don't know if this is in the Sheik Kuyate Baddest Man on the Planet show, because you'll be the first to say, hey, man, this is really Jesus. And that's one of the biggest transformations I've seen in your life. Putting your putting your family first, man. I have a picture on my social media page with you and your wife. And I said to you, I remember saying to Sheik, before we get on the line, I said, look, man, I want you all to see that this man is a closer. You know, he's a closer, man. And I'm so thankful that we both married above our means. Our poor wives looked at us and said, Lord help him, let me marry him. I
They're
mean,
living
we're not.
proof that there is a God.
Yeah, we're not trash now. We're not trash, but you know, but we married queens, and
Right.
so and so I'm really thankful. One more question I wanted to ask you, and then you can close us out the way that you see fit. And I would love for you to tell that story, Burn the Boat, if you still remember it. Um, you know, and there are a lot of things that you can't talk about because of some of the licenses that you have, and I won't even put you in a position, but just tell us something that 50 years old. I'm more than 50, but and you haven't hit 50 yet, so you're getting there.
Don't rush me.
um, but men approaching 50, and when you're approaching 50, you're looking at that bottom line. You're looking at your retirement, and now they're looking to move some of the retirement ages up, and my wife and I, we already have a strategy, some things that we learned that we put together by sitting with you, and it was tough, having that bloody nose, but I learned some things over the last 4 months, you know, um, you know, that had we not had these strategies put in place, that we will be we'd be looking like we were 10 years ago.
Mm.
We but help out some of the men who are here, just who may want to know what can they do. I know it's a loaded question, but I'm gonna let you finish it the way that you see fit. If you need to share a screen, go ahead and do that as well.
Um, I no, I don't need to.
Okay.
I'll say this. Let's say if I was 50, and don't rush me, though. I got about a year and a couple months left before
Okay.
I hit that one, the big
Yes.
one. If I was 50 and maybe just starting off, or just trying to figure out what am I trying to do, I guess I would start with three questions.
Mm.
Three questions that I learned from a mentor named John Epting,
Mm-hmm.
good friend of yours. And
Yes, yes, yes.
he, he,
Superman. That's Superman.
he said, ask yourself this. He said, well, these three questions: what do you want? and not generic. Get crystal clear.
Yeah.
What does your ideal life look like? Okay.
Hmm.
So what do you want? Second question, why do you want it?
Hmm.
Why is that important? Why that?
Hmm.
What's the purpose? Right? What do you want? Why do you want it? Here's the big one. What are you willing to sacrifice to get it?
Wow. Wow. Wow.
I-
Yeah.
if you're not clear on that, um, get clear on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
there, from there we can kind of get a plan,
Yeah.
create a
Yeah.
strategy, create a plan, right? So it may be, hey, I just want to be financially free. Why? Why is that important? What is it you're trying to do?
Hmm.
And you'd be a lot of people don't have that answer. They're just
Yeah.
wandering realities.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. So many people, um, are wandering through life and just waking up and going to work and coming home, and that's it. That's their total of their. That's the sum total of their entire existence,
Yep.
and complaining about it the entire way. you know, um, you're always looking for people who are aspiring to get off of that treadmill.
Mm.
And how can people get in touch with you? Let me see if I can find it in my chat
Go
so I
on.
can. How
Um,
can people get in touch with you?
well, best way is to call me or text me. My
Hmm.
number is 757-822-9836 and 757-822-9836, and I can be reached at my email,
Hmm.
Sheik, SHEIK dot my last name, Kuyate,
Okay, spell that, please.
AUYATEH at
KUYATEH. Uh-huh.
wealthwave.com. Wealthwave.com. WEALTHWAVE.com.
Gotcha. I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to see this right here. Okay, that's 757-822-9837 or 36.
Six. Make that a six.
Okay, yeah, let me change that because they're gonna be
Don't be
people.
wrong person.
Hey, you know what? There we go. 75. Let me tick it off. Okay.
You need it again? I put it in the
No,
chat.
there we go. No, there we go. There we go. I hit the wrong button. 757-822-9836. And that's your phone. And your email is chic.kuyate at wealthwave.com. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, man, I really appreciate you taking this time. And I know that you're all the way on the West Coast. Um, and you're enjoying a constant sunny weather. And I want to make sure that you get enough time. I don't want to hold you too long, but I want to make sure you have enough time to really enjoy your beautiful family. And you have someone that just came into town that's just so dedicated. They flew out to see you and get extra training for with you.
Yeah. I got
Okay.
one of my reps from Atlanta. He's here, and
Yeah.
some lunch, and yeah, we're just going to do a little bit of mentorship and feed into him.
Yeah. I'm gonna come on. I'm gonna hop on a plane, but I have to bring a few bloody noses with me,
Hey, man, it's
just for
84
hotel.
degrees. It's 84 degrees with a nice breeze, man. San
Well,
Diego anytime.
and for everyone that says, you're wondering what I mean by bloody nose there. You always have like this one child that's always bringing somebody in the house that you got to feed. You know, you got to wash them, you got to bathe them, and you're like, Johnny, why you keep bringing these stragglers home? These were the people that I would always bring to sometimes
Howard,
Sheik, and I'm like, Sheik, come on,
Howard.
help me. He would say, hey, we want to help them, and you would do all you could to help them,
Yeah.
and then they just kind of, but it's
Service,
everyone doesn't want
servant spirit,
it.
and leave the rest to God.
Leave the rest to God. But I
Yeah.
will tell you this, man, and this I'll say in the closing that many people they never forget what you told them, and some of them even come back, and so that's why it was important to share and take those strategies. So thank you so much, my brother. Look, God bless you, man. If you have any questions, always call my friend Shi Kuyate 757-822-9836. I know that's a Virginia number because we're still trying to get him back over here for some training. But he's all the way on the West Coast. Look, God bless you, my friend. Take care and say go Cowboys one time real quick. Have a good evening. God bless. God bless, brother. Thank you. Peace.
Cash in, cash out. Brody took the street route, speeding through the fast lane, trying not to crash out. Poverty was passed down, couldn't afford a different route. No one meet him in the streets, he won't hit the church house. Luxury the heart of me, but these streets still a part of me. I gave God all of me, no saying sick and tired of me. I came up about them bricks, I know my brother's proud of me. Demons had me on the fence, I know my mama proud of me. Know my mama pray for me, pray for my girl, she made for me. Know these rappers make believe, they make it up like Maybelline. Remember days thought I was done, I said it won't no saving me. Now I'm feeling like the one that's really made it say the streets. Bags made it spaz out, cash in, cash out. Money coming fast now, topping off his pastels. Blues and paints won't save a thing, but it made life a little easy. Put your faith up in that money, you ought to try a little Jesus. Waist deep was in that water, learn to swim, you gon' sink. Pack the pack was made to order back to back, broke next week. I got angels on both sides, sick to say no crossing me. Body buried in that water, I came up a brand new me. Yeah. Stream Minister Volume 1, man.
The art of war. He who knows himself but does not know his enemy will lose every battle he goes into. If he does not know himself but he knows his enemy, he will lose half the battles. If he knows himself and he knows his enemy, he will win every battle he